Hello, this is Ellen Petronella. I'm so happy to have you here watching this. Today I'm going to show you how I made my cover for my Stitch journal. And by the way, if you haven't made your Stitch journal yet, or if it's the first time you come across the concept of a Stitch journal, check the link below where you have a link to a free workshop on how I did the entire book. Today the focus is just on the actual cover, purely from popular demand. A lot of people have asked how I did the cover. I did host a live stream about this yesterday where I started on this dark green version. You can see up here I used the chain stitch all along to attach one side. I didn't do the second side yet, but due to some tech problems, I'm laughing because, gosh, you were so patient with me. It was the first time that I joined a live stream using my phone, and actually the first time I did a live stream in probably 4 years. So I was really nervous about the tech not working, and technically, I could say that everything that I was afraid of happening happened. So I ended up joining vertical. I had to exit and restart, and then the sound stopped, and I was like, you know what? Let's start over. I'm going to film a proper video for you to send out as a replay as opposed to the one from yesterday. That's why we are here right now. So I'll start by just taking it out so that you can see how easy and basic this cover is. So first you can see also how the pages have been stitched into the book. I've used a hardcover book as the basis, and I stitched all of the pages into it before I started embroidering inside. The pages are stitched into the book in advance, and everybody was telling me, oh, but then you can't embroider. Yes, I can. It's actually very practical and simple. I just either put it on a table or in my lap, and I hold it in my hand as I stitch on that side, or similar to this when I stitch on the other side. So it has not been a problem for me. Potentially, if you want to actually make patterns or something like that, of course you can't put a hoop inside of it once it's already stitched in. I have focused on running stitches, movement, text, things that aren't dependent on having a hoop. And actually the experience have been just absolutely incredible and grounding because I've been holding the fabric closer in my hand as opposed to having a hoop all the time stretched out. It's been feeling very intimate. I think that is probably the best way to describe it. So I took off the cover here, and the practical thing about doing the cover in this way is that, well, you can take it off and give it a little wash if necessary. So you can see I've used mine daily for 2 years at this point, so you can see there are some stains and I definitely need to wash it, but I can. There is no problem at all. You can see that I started with just one long rectangular piece of fabric that I then stitched together up and down. Here I did the chain stitch to simply block the fabric from fraying. I added a little holder here where sometimes I put a scissor there or something else, and the sides are functioning as pockets. Whenever I'm out and about, I always put a bit of floss. This looks very messy. I'm sorry about that. I put my scissor, and I've already got the needles attached inside of the book. I put a little piece of loose fabric like that to attach some needles, and I'm good to go. I've got what I need when I'm out and about, and frankly, when I'm moving around the house. Just to make it a little bit of fun touched, I used the same band that you see right here. I used that for the back of the book. You can see I used a running stitch, just attaching that in place. Nothing fancy pants. So once you see this, I'll turn it inside out. Once you see this, you're gonna go, oh, that's actually really straightforward. I can do that. I can do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I believe in you. There we go. So this is how it looks like from the inside out. So I just did plain straight stitches, running stitches right across on both sides. I actually did, you can see here underneath, you can see how I went all the way over in one go. And that is exactly what I did yesterday as well. In yesterday's version, the difference is that I chose to go for a chain stitch all along for the simple reason that this fabric was starting to fray already. Now, I chose this green fabric for the pure cool look of it, but when I got started, I realized that it's actually a cut out piece from curtains that we have in our eating room. And I realized that it was really thick to push through, so that also made it feel slightly clunky, and I thought, you know what? I will just start over. I'm actually going to cut this open so that you can see, and we can use this as the template for the one that I'll be creating right now in real time. I was going to say live, and not necessarily. I will not be live as you're watching it. See this as a replay of what we did yesterday, a catch up, a non-technologically blocked replay. So you guys, though, yesterday, it touched me so deeply how patient you were. And in the end, we were nearly 200 people who came on live at one point or another, which is just incredible. We had people coming on from Argentina, South Korea, Canada, the US, Australia, UK, Denmark, Sweden. What else? Did I miss something? Scotland. Gosh, yeah, Netherlands, France. It was incredible how we all got to get together over this shared joy of creating with our hands. I genuinely think that we need to create with our hands more than ever. Creating with our hands is just so grounding. And in times of like just general overwhelm, we need to have these grounding practices, and also just living in a technocracy where everything is happening online. As much as it's a blessing because we get to connect together across borders, across continents, across time zones. Well, for our own little nervous systems, we do need to have and build in habits, regular habits of a concrete physical grounding practice. You know, our grandmothers and grandfathers, they had it figured out when they were doing their woodwork and sewing and knitting and crocheting. And I don't know why. So we kind of lost that along the way. So I'm so grateful that you're here and we are all bringing it back. I see it almost like a revolution. All right, so here you can see how I can't really zoom out, I think. Okay, maybe I can. Yeah, I can zoom out a little bit just to show you. It's a little bit wonky here. Yeah, sorry, I cut that out during that live stream. But honestly, it worked out fine. It's really okay, because once you stitch it together, it kind of evens out, and once you flip it inside out, you won't see it anyway. But you see how this is a long, just one coherent piece, and the way that I measured how to know how long it was going to be, I'll show exactly. I simply used the book as the reference. I took the fabric that I wanted to have, I wrapped it around so that it was overlapping long enough to create kind of this little pocket that I told you about just a minute ago. And here I did the same thing. So, and stitched up there, stitch up here, stitch there, stitch there. All right. So what we're going to do now, as opposed to, because I thought I still want to stitch a bit with you guys. I still want to stitch a bit with you in real time, making it feel like this is really that replay. By the way, I'm going to zoom in again. I don't think, maybe like that. I was thinking that, you know what? I needed to find a fabric that was a little bit easier for me to stitch through as I'm doing it live, because when you are on live, you know, you just need to choose easeful materials. And so I thought I'm going to go through my stash here of some of the recent architectural sceneries that I've embroidered. And by the way, all of these ones that you see here, except for this one, but all of these other ones that you're seeing are patterns that you can find in my shop. They are embroidery wanderlust patterns. I call them wanderlust patterns, and I'll put the link to all patterns below. There are over 100 now from all over the world, so I'm sure you'll find something you love. Here we've got Slovakia, Bratislava. We have West Village in New York City. Here's one from Faro, I believe, in South Portugal. Copenhagen. Here is Munich in Germany. Venice, Italy. Here I was inspired by just a cozy scenery in the south of France. You know, imagine sitting here on these chairs and reading a book maybe. Here is another French architecture. I love looking at details. And this is, by the way, another old curtain that I thrifted, which just look really, really wonderful. At first, I thought I was going to go with these two to create a cover. I think that would look just fabulous to have as a cover, wouldn't it? But I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera, for the simple fact that I tried before coming on. I tried before coming on to put them together and stitch, and I realized, okay, I might put myself up because remember, these are also curtains, so they are slightly sturdier, just like this one. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to set myself up for the same situation. I could feel it in my fingers after yesterday's live stream, and then I am a regular stitcher. So we'll save these for another time. But these raw linen pieces, thought, these are going to be fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. So what I'm going to do is I'll be attaching them together to create, I'll be stitching them together in the middle first to create this one long piece before I'll fold it in. Now I'll first need to get myself a needle, and let's see if I'm going to use the green one as a base. No, I think actually we'll use the actual cover because we have a clear distinction in between, so I think that'll just make it a little bit easier for me to see roughly the size. We'll even actually take the book. Why not just take the book? Yeah, why not take the book? I'll just take the book. I'll be folding that in there. I believe that we're going to have Venice on the front, and we'll be having Munich on the back. All right, let me zoom in again so that you don't have to see my dungarees patch right here. So I want to measure out the middle here so that I can attach the two. How will we best do that? Because I kind of want to make sure that this one is right at the front. Okay. You know what? I'm actually just going to cut it. Some of you might be, oh gosh, she's winging this. And yes, I am absolutely winging it. When I create, when I'm in the flow, when I feel good, when I'm just enjoying creating with my hands, I don't want to feel slowed down by, I don't know, putting a lot of measuring stuff and additional needles and everything. I just put it and I start and I go and and I'll try to solve the problem later. I'm not sure if that's always the best way to go. It's completely different depending on what project you're approaching, right? But when it comes to the stitch journal, it is the most forgiving project of them all, because the whole point of it is the fact that it's not necessarily a project on its own, in the sense that it's more about a process. It's about creating that regular habit. Some days I make one stitch inside the book. Some days I write an entire quote or an affirmation. Some days, well, I kind of just look at it, you know. But really it's about building that creative habit more than building perfection. We don't want perfection. No. We want life. We want fun. Let me see. I'll be folding that sort of there, which means I'll be doing the same on this side, but it's easier for me to cut it from there, so I'll just cut it from here. This is actually a really fun way also to reuse embroideries you might have already done. If you have maybe already stitched a few of my patterns, then use them. Put them on a pillow cover, put them on a tote bag, or put them on your stitch journal cover. Yes. Okay, so now we need to make sure that we are turning these the opposite way, right? Because we want to stitch them together in the middle. Somewhat sort of like that. Make sure that they are kind of at the same height. Yes, yes they are. Be moving that over. I did have a needle somewhere, so I will use just a pin to kind of hold it together. I do believe I should have a second pin somewhere. Oh yeah, there we go. I usually keep a couple of pins in my stitch journal as well because, you know, oh, sorry, that got a little bit out of the camera. I usually keep a couple of pins in my stitch journal as well because you never know if when you're out and about and you just get a little piece of scrap fabric, you know, for example, something that I frequently do when we are in Paris is that I go into the fabric shop and you can usually ask for these testers. You get a small piece that you can yeah, for the sake of bringing home to see which color or which fabric, I take all the testers I can. And then I use those little scraps and I put them here, I put them here. In the book, for example, you see this is one of those like just completely random scraps. I think I found this one actually in my mother's bin for fabrics. Yeah, I just thought the color was beautiful and I didn't want it to let it go. Here is another kind of just piece of fabric that I folded around the edge because here, I believe, maybe it wasn't that side, but it was starting to fray quite a bit here. So I wanted to fold it over, and because of the kind of a hole in the fabric on that side, I thought, you know what, it's gonna look really, really pretty when we see that through. So right, you don't have to have much more reasons than that, do you? Or just the fact that you like it. So let's get started stitching that together now. I do have some threads that are a bit more organized right here. Which color you use is of less importance. I'm very into purple this time, so if you did come on and watch the live stream yesterday, you know that already. I'm just, gosh, where is the beginning of it? Am I completely blind? I rolled this together yet last night so good that I can't even find the end of it. Ah, there we go. There we go. All right. I want to take it long enough so that I can stitch all of that in one go. And you know what? Usually here I have a crewel needle 1-5, but actually I'm gonna go for the Sashiko needle because I'm gonna be doing running stitches to attach them. I can do that a bit more efficiently and quicker with a longer needle. So this is a Sashiko needle. Sashiko meaning little steps. I actually have an entire introduction to Sashiko course in the Embroidery Art Academy. I'll put the link to that below as well. It's in the Embroidery Art Academy where you can find the free stitch journal workshop too. And all right, I don't have to do too early, I think. Let me see actually, because as I'm going to let me see. It'll be kind of from there. Do I have a pen to just mark that? Yes. Okay, from kind of here to kind of there. Okay. And I made a knot on the other end, by the way. Okay, let's go. Let's go, let's go. So this is what I wanted to do smoothly in the video yesterday. I'm actually going to turn it over because more often than not, I find doing these many little stabs, so many little stitches in one go, I do find it easier to come from the right over to the left. Probably because I'm right-handed, not sure. But I do find it easier to do it from one side to the next as opposed to from bottom up. Moving the pin. So the only thing that I do miss recording it like this is just it was so lovely to have so many tune in yesterday. I had really missed doing live streams. So good news is I'm going to do it again. I am going to do it again. It did not scare me entirely yesterday, even though I wish it had definitely been a bit smoother. I was feeling nervous about it the entire day, moreover. I was feeling nervous about it the entire day that I just wanted the technology to work well, and then I ended up joining the live stream in the vertical fashion, and I was just thinking, Aish, this is not gonna cut it. This is not gonna cut it. So I exited the room, and when I did, I had to restart, then had to email a new link. We started off, and that was fine, but then I had an alarm kickoff that I had completely forgotten about. Clearly, you understand why I have the alarm in the first place, because the alarm is telling me I need to remember taking some vitamins, which I obviously forget frequently. I hope I'm not alone in that. Anyway, when the alarm kicked off, what happened is that the sound for the live stream stopped. So that was inconvenient, and it took quite a bit of time to just figure out how to get the sound back on. And yeah, we survived that ordeal as well, and it was still a really fun and lovely time. But again, I just thought, I'll record this, and like this I can use one of the or two of the patterns that I've got. All right, I'm going to attach it here very soon. And I'll be doing that with just another knot. We won't be seeing these stitches on the other side anyway, because I'm going to be turning it. There we go. I'll be turning it. Now, ideally, you will be ironing this out. You will be ironing here before continuing. But as I have you in a real-time recording, and I don't want to edit this after because I really want this kind of real-time vibe. I want the feeling as if we are here live together. So I'm not going to run downstairs and get my iron, but it would be ideal if you do iron here to flatten it out. Okay, we can pull it a little bit more. There we go. But I'm not going to do that right now. So I will be folding that one, and I will be folding that one. Yes. And I want this part to be in the middle, in the back. Okay, wonderful. Actually, I will, it will be easier to just use this again. And if you haven't already made a stitch cover, don't worry. You can of course use the book, or you can create a template from, with a piece of paper, for example, if you find that easier. I'm thinking that I'm just going to I'll use that needle as a pin there. I'm just going to use it to cut out so that it's the good size from the beginning. Here I want to actually, you know what? I'll just leave that because it's going to be on the pocket on the inside anyway, so that won't be a big problem. I only have this little embroidery snip here. Usually have bigger fabric scissors up here, but my daughters were here and they ended up, where is the knot? Yes, the knot is on the correct side, so I can cut. There we go. Normally, I would now ask me any questions you might have. Ask me. Tell me where you're from, how you're doing, and we would be interacting, but that's okay. That is okay. We had some who were doing their own stitch journal covers during the live stream yesterday, which was so heartwarming. I would love to hear in the comments below if you've had the chance to make yours yet, or if this is the first time that you encounter me or this concept, if you feel inspired and excited to do one. Most of the stitch journals that I had encountered online before I made mine were doing the loose pages stitching the pages in advance, and I really should have taken another scissor, but hey, this goes. Voila. They do the loose pages first and then assemble it at the end when everything is finished. And that kind of always blocked me a bit, because then it felt like it became such a big project that, oh gosh, I haven't finished all the pages yet. I can't put it together yet. So when I decided to just, you know what, I'm just going to put it together right away, it just, it felt like the greatest permission slip somehow. And I never looked back. It was just wonderful for me. So now let me see what I want to do. I'll put this kind of next by so that, actually, I'll take the book again here, because this is what I did when I did my first one. Place this in the middle. Okay, I'll take my pin. I'll take my pin, attach there. Take my other pin. So I'll do one side at a time. Take my other pin down there. Voila. Okay. I can slide it out. And as this pocket here, the fold in on this one is going to be smaller than I have on my other one. I can add an extension should I want to, but I don't know yet if I want to. I haven't decided that far. That's too far ahead. I'll just reuse this short. I won't be stitching all the way along yet, I think. Or alternatively, I'll start like this. I'll do the shape first, and I'll get back to what I do. You see, we are doing this live. We are doing this in real time. Like, my brain right now is going on high speed in all of the, thinking about all of the different possibilities that I can do. I didn't want to have like a pre-stitched, finished thing in advance for the sake of doing this together. So my stitch journal is really like a living, breathing thing. I change it, I I add stuff. I do things all the time. And it's kind of partly what feels so liberating with it. So I just did a few running stitches there. I'll attach it again. It's all a little bit wonky, but that's okay, because I think the final result will still be really lovely. I'll need to take a new piece of floss so that I can do the other side as well. Again, I do wish I did have an iron, but I'll iron it afterwards. There we go. It's really interesting because it feels like, I said that in the live yesterday, it feels like it was lifetimes ago since I came on and did a live stream. And when I was doing it, I realized just how much I had missed it. You know, the element of being able to interact and talk and ask questions and, you know, feel kind of like a human vibe, even though we're obviously through the screen, but it still felt really, really enriching to be able to connect that way. I hope you felt the same. It felt, yeah, like a lifetime ago since I did that last time. I've moved multiple times over across the entire continent. I also added another child since I did a live stream, so it's the biggest reason why I haven't actually done it for the last few years. It's just not always compatible with young children, right? But right now my husband took them to go to the neighbors so that I could record this video. And I'm thinking about when I will do the next live stream. I will send out updates about that through email. It's the easiest way to connect. And now I know how to avoid the problems that happened last time, which is calming. It's comforting. I did the first one. We survived. And now for the next one, I've learned my lessons. All right, you can see I just went through and went back and through those stitches again to kind of anchor the floss a little bit. So I'll now do the other side. I'll first put it in so that I am sure that I basically, so that I know how much I can pull it here. There we go. Where did I put my pins? Here. Need to have that little pin cushion. I do have one though. But I do not want to stand up from my chair and take it. I don't have it on my immediate table. I'm sat in the attic right now. It's the best light because there's like a attic window, kind of, yeah, a velux, we say in French. I don't know if it's the same. I'm not French. I'm Swedish, but I do speak French every day with my children and my husband. Do speak some Swedish with them and English as well. But we live in the French-speaking part of Belgium, and my husband is French, and I speak French. So our kids chose French, kind of just naturally. It was very, very interesting, really, because we were living in Sweden when our oldest started talking, and I was like, at that time I was speaking only Swedish to her, and I thought, you know, she's going to start talking Swedish, and she still started talking French. I find that just absolutely fascinating. So I don't have another pin. I just used a needle that I had here because there it was a little bit bigger size pocket, if you will. Actually, I'll go all the way there. Okay, and the other side. This one is actually very short, so I don't need to. You remember that I decided to just keep that shape. I'll probably be doing some chain stitches to stop it from fraying here. But for now, we just really want the basic shape in place. That was my goal for today while you are here with me. So again, if you do feel called to, if you do want to do any of those, of these architectural designs that you can see right here, I'll have the link below to over 100 architectural embroidery designs, and I do all of the designs by hand. So I draw them by hand. So it's very, very important part of the process for me. I do everything by hand. So, and again, now with AI and technology and everything, it just feels even more important that this process remain the handmade. Can't believe it's been actually 10 years. It's been like a decade that I'm doing this work, and it feels like such a blessing. We also have, I say we because for the first several years, I was running this art studio together with my husband. He was my first embroidery student. He was a very good student. And, but since the last few years, especially since adding our second child, he has started working with some other projects, and it's been me who've taken over. So it's still called Charles & Ellen as of the moment of filming this. But I am actually in the process of changing that. You know what? I'll weave that through because I want it now. It's going to be entering the second decade of this work, and we'll be going back to the Petronella art, where I'll be incorporating more of my various art forms, because actually for a couple of years now, I also run a written publication. I actually write a lot. Write a publication called Follow Your Gut over on Substack for the past couple of years. I'll be shifting that more or less to my website, but I'm still active on Substack as well. It's been absolutely wonderful. I haven't talked about it here in the embroidery space because I thought, maybe nobody will be interested, and it just felt difficult somehow. But I've decided that, you know what? I'm tired of diluting myself. So more and more you will be seeing me mentioning and chatting and incorporating the various art forms that I am doing. So still the focus will be on embroidery, but with some touches of the different things. So the stitch journal fits perfectly into that. It's one of the reasons why you see me do mostly written text in my stitch journals. It's a lot of affirmations, and really the stitch journal, I really had it as a private practice for the past 2 years. So I hardly shared about it online because I just really needed my own creative outlet, and I genuinely didn't necessarily think that many people would be interested. And once I shared about it at the end of last year, the response was incredible, and I was like, wow, actually we are a lot of people craving to have this kind of in-between project. So it is an ongoing thing, but it doesn't necessarily have a start or an end date. It's different compared to, let's say, an architectural design, like a pattern where, it's beginning and then you stitch it until the design is finished. Whereas the stitch journal is a living, breathing, expanding thing that goes with you through the seasons. And that was something that I really, really needed, especially in my last postpartum season when I was going through a really, really hard time. And so I stitched a lot of affirmations, a lot of reminders and things that I needed to remind myself of. But really, I've had some who say, oh, I also want to write, and others are saying, no, I don't want to write anything at all. I just want to feel the flow. The most important is that you do what feels right for you. Some days I have nothing to say, funnily enough. And that is when I just do some running stitches, following a shape, doing the colors that I love, focusing on completely different things. All right, so while I've been chatting away, I have stitched up here and down here, and it's the moment of truth. We're going to flip it over. I'll be turning it around. I'll be turning it around, turning it around. All right. There we go. Again, recommend to just take an iron to just make it a little bit more tight. I do think I want to stitch this border down to make it look a little bit better. I'll definitely do that, I think. I also want to, let's just try it first, you know, let's just try it first. I put it on here. I put it on. It's usually easier when you fold both of the hardcovers backwards. Up. There we go. Here is the back for now. Here is the other side. For architectural designs, if you don't have, for example, for this one, if you don't have a lot of French knots or texture in different ways, but you only have these neat contours, you can iron straight onto that as well. The only thing to keep in mind is when you've added some textures that if you do iron it, then that might flatten out. My recommendation is always to iron it from the back side. So iron your architectural piece, architectural design, in case you also choose to do that, from the back side as opposed to the front. All right, this is wonderful. I'm really excited. Actually, I'm almost finished with this stitch journal now. I have, or finished, again, I'm keep talking about how it's an evolving thing, and it really is. I did stitch that on the live stream yesterday, by the way, talking about following your gut. But I only have like 3 pages. 2 actually, because this is going to be the back side. You can see I always stitch every other one. So I stitch on every other one, then there are 2 back sides facing each other, 2 fronts facing each other, 2 backs facing each other. Basically, that the day that I decide that it's finished, I can close them and I can do a chain stitch and close the pages so that when you flip through, you don't have to see the back. But for now, again, I don't know when I'm done. So, but I do feel really inspired and excited to make another one, a second one that I want to be focused on Wonderlust. I want it to be with architectural designs, maybe some more inspiration of thread sketching. By the way, if you are interested in this style, I have an entire class on architectural thread sketching as well. It's combining sketching and embroidery into a unique, innovative practice, you can call it. So I have a class on that as well. I'll put the link to that below too. So the last thing I want to do is, before letting you go, I set myself kind of like maximum an hour and we still have a few minutes left. So I want to now start dealing with this bit here. So we'll be folding that over. I'll take my pin. I'm basically just going to stitch that down. That's what I'm going to do. Where's the, there. There we go. I'll do the same on the other side after. Now, the only difference here is that this stitch, stitching that down, is going to be seen on the front. Sometimes my accent goes all over the place. It's going to be seen on the front, so I just want to be mindful about how I do that so that I think it looks nice. Again, you know what? I'll go with the purple because, again, you know, purple is just fabulous. I'll go with the purple, but I'm now debating inside my mind whether I'm going to do running stitch or whether I'm going to do a chain stitch, and I think that actually I'm gonna go for the chain stitch. So I just make sure that the knot doesn't show from the front. Can you see there? I might actually zoom in a little bit again. Okay. It's quite far down, but there. So I leave a loop and I put the needle through that loop. The version I did yesterday, I think I said that in the beginning. I did a wonky chain stitch all along, as opposed to the running stitch, because the fabric was so much friction in that fabric. It was a mixture of velvet and yeah, I actually don't even know all of it, the mix that was in it. I actually just chose it. Most of the time I'm very, very picky with the fabrics I'm taking, but for that one, that green, I fell in love with the color and I fell in love with these big leaves and the fact that parts of it are more or less transparent. So it's transparent for light to come through, but it still serves as a good cover to not feel too exposed. So we have that facing the road, the side of the road. During the day, there's no problem, but during the nighttime, when we have our lights on inside and you have the cars driving up the road, I just feel like all of them can see right into our kitchen table. And I wanted something where we could still have some light coming through, but where you still feel that they can't actually see what you're having for dinner. So yeah, I'm sure that you know what I'm talking about. I think this is a pretty cool detail, actually. I could have gone with a more incognito color. I could obviously have chosen beige or something to match the, I'll pull that out now. I could have gone with a beige to match the raw linen base, but I'm just not a very incognito person. So I prefer some bright colors. Oops, that happened to go. I put that into the wrong. Let's see. Something happened. I'll just bring it up so you can see whenever I do some mistake and I want to redo it, I never hesitate twice, you know. It's so easy to just pull up the threads. I just flip it around, so I use the needle eye to poke up any stitches that I want to redo, and I redo them. The only time I'm more strict as to not redoing stitches is when I do the thread sketching style, because then the whole point is to pretend that the floss is ink and you can't redo ink. So that is kind of part of the challenge for that. But here, nah, no rules. I wanted to redo the stitch. I'm just gonna redo the stitch. There. All right, while I finish up this last bit, because now we are towards the end, and thank you so much for sticking around, for hanging out, for watching. Let me know if you did your stitch journal cover as well during this session. I just want to end by mentioning a few words about the new non-profit Survive to Thrive that I registered last month as of recording this. I'm nervous. I have butterflies just talking about it because it's such a major milestone. Something that I never really shared with this community before is that before I became an embroidery artist, I actually thought I was going to be the next president of the UN. Not necessarily, but I was working in the field and I was working for nonprofit. Especially, I lived and worked at site for a year in rural South Africa, relatively close to the border to Mozambique, and it completely changed my life. And the people I met and the projects I was working on, and especially an old colleague that I've kept contact with throughout this time, Dumsan and Gubane. I remember already in 2012, he told me about his dream to create a recreational arts center. He told me about his dream to create a recreational arts center, and every weekend, every time we weren't working, he would spend that time teaching arts and supporting the children, local children. And I remember when I left, so I was living there 2014, 2015, and I said, one day we're going to be building this together. One day we will be starting this project. And the years just started flowing by. You know how it is. Until one day I decided that, you know what? Because now it's not only this project, I also want to support my midwife in Nepal. There's so many different things that I want to do. And so the umbrella Survive to Thrive was born. Really coming from, and it's directly, I would say, it's directly linked to the Stitch Journal as well, how creativity, creating with my hands, has always been my refuge. Creative expression, being in flow. There's nothing that heals you more than just feeling that you are creating something. Art, especially for the creative soul, can be a way to support you out of a survival state, whether it's actual survival, as in you literally only having food for the day, or maybe not even food for the day, but whether it's survival in that sense, or whether it's the sense of survival, having young children and no support. Survival mode can come in many, many different shapes and form. And it's with great, great joy that the first flagship project is going to be together with my colleague, where we are going to be developing art workshops to empower the young girls and boys. There will be about 400 to 500 children who will be touched by this project, already starting this month. And so we are currently fundraising for art supplies, transportation, food, because you never really know if these kids have actually eaten all day. So we want food to be a big part of the funding, for rental of a safe space, because we don't have the recreational art center yet. So the whole point is to start making an impact from day one, supporting these children, bringing art education to them, and using the various art projects that they will be producing. It will be drama, poetry, visual arts, traditional beadwork, dancing, using that to further, basically as a way to include them and further fundraise for the actual construction of an art center. So that's the long-term dream for now. We are right at the beginning in this particular flagship project. If you want to learn more about it, if you feel called, if you feel that the mission of supporting the movement of supporting communities, youth and communities and women to go from surviving to thriving. If it's something that speaks to you, then do check out the link below. I'll put the link directed to the flagship project, and you can navigate around a bit on the website. It's still in construction. I'm working on it as we speak. But if you do feel called, please do check it out. We are currently raising funds for the first couple of months of snacks or food and transportation. There'll most likely be some clothing necessary as well, so that all the children can be included, even if they don't have the right clothing available. We want to be able to provide that. And yeah, know that whatever you choose to support, whatever you choose to contribute, will go directly down. There's no middleman. There is literally, every single euro, every single dollar is going to go directly to these children, and you will be able to follow along. I won't be talking about it all the time, but I will be sharing here and there as we develop and as things move forward, because I'd like to keep it transparent. It's the thing that I think sometimes is missing in big organizations, where you just feel like you're a little bit far away. You don't necessarily know exactly where everything is going. And I want this to be an intimate experience. I want this to be feeling inclusive. The goal is to eventually be hosting some live streams together with children to be able to exchange and ask questions in real time, and to really feel this close proximity that you are part of a project. I'll show you, by the way, I just finished here, by the way, as I was chatting along. Embroidery is so good for that. You can talk in the same time. Here's how it looks like from the front, how it looks like from the back. And I'm definitely going to look for, I do think I want to put some kind of a piece of fabric, not the same color, that's a bit boring, but I do want to put something on the back similar to what I did right here, because I think that is a really neat and pretty way to make it pop. So I'm going to be looking through my stash. Wait, actually, here, I've got one. I think I have an idea. Look at this. Look at this. Here's an example of how I just keep all the little snippets. This, I might be using that. Folding it down, but I will be doing that once I have my iron. It's currently downstairs, but I might, I'll just roll it up for now to just get the idea. That'll be pretty for the backing. Yeah. Ooh, I'm getting all excited. Yeah, I'll probably do that. Before leaving you, I'll just show. I've got a few, I actually have a few pictures here. This is me in 2012, can you imagine? With my colleague, Dumsani. And here was his car. We were driving around in this one, going to the different schools, the kids waiting for us and creating arts with them. And here they were doing some traditional dancing for me. This was actually on my 18th birthday. Gosh, that feels like ages ago. But yeah, it's something that is very close to my heart, and I've kept it. We've kept the thread alive for a decade now. And it just felt like, you know what? We're not getting any younger, so we're going to we're starting small, and we'll be taking it from there. So you're warmly invited to come and check that out. I'll put the link to the Survive to Thrive movement.org, Survive to Thrive movement. I'll put that link in below. You've got the link to the free stitch journal workshop, and you've got the link to all the patterns. You'll also have a link to my embroidery art academy. You've got it all down there. I'm going to put this on again to just see how those last chain stitches turned out. I'll be doing the other side as well, but we are approaching an hour together, so I will be rounding off. And you can always put comments if you have any questions or reach out to me. And voila. Wonder if I'll be doing some stitches here. Now that I put the actual hardcover in, I can keep doing some fake chain stitches in the sense that I don't have to push them through, but I'll just do them from the front to make the impression that they keep going. I might do that. So either way, it looks already a million times better, and I'll be cutting that. Yep, I'll be cutting that right away because that bothers me. Either way, it looks already so much better than it did having it loose this way, right? We couldn't leave it like that. Nope. So I'm going to be folding that one in as well, doing something similar to this. I'll be putting behind here, I'll be putting probably this fabric, or if I find another one, but this is adding some pop of color considering that this is very beige. Yeah, I think I'll be popping in some color there. And yeah, thank you so much for following along. Give it a thumbs up. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.